Hey everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the Wild and the Whites podcast. So we are here today, me and Andrew. Andrew and I. I can't win. We decided to do a podcast on kind of a spin-off of the episode that we did with Onyx and how to e-scout for deer. Do a little spin-off of that and go a different direction because we've been so hunting heavy recently, and we've promised to bring other types of content to you guys. So we're going to go into the fishing realm, and we're going to talk a little bit about how I choose where I'm going to fish and how I'm going to fish it. And there is a little bit of topography when you're getting into certain species of fish that I'll use. And I'm going to readily say that I'm not an expert on a lot of that. When it comes to getting into salmon and lake trout and that kind of thing, I know some of it. But there's some other people that we know that are much more achieved and proven to know what they're doing in that aspect of it, that I'd love to get on the podcast sometime and have them talk a little bit more about it, because I know I'll learn something. And so this is going to be a pretty basic realm so that I don't go above and beyond what I know to be true and say something that is just completely wrong.
Well, that'll be a much better step than my experience of, oh look, a body of water, let's go.
Right.
Which you learned firsthand last summer. Where are we going? I don't know. We're going up this river. What do you mean you don't know? I saw it driving by.
Well, there's water, so there's fish in water, so we're going fishing in the water.
The chances of there being fish were higher than on the road.
Yeah, there's that.
There
were puddles on the
river.
road, though, Buckley.
Yeah, well.
And where there's water, there's fish.
If I didn't know any better, you probably would have caught me in that puddle too.
But so first off, though, let's get into a little bit of updates. Kind of where we're at with things.
Yeah.
Some cool things just happened today.
Yep.
In the mail.
Mail call. What do we have? I'm excited, all right?
I love the enthusiasm, man. This is what it's all about, right? We are having fun, and that's what it's about.
Might be forced fun, but we're having it. You will smile and you will know what to do. Sorry.
So today, we got the copyright back on the artwork for the logo, which, is pretty exciting. So we own that now, and we have devised a business plan, and I should get Paul's signature on it tomorrow. I got yours on it today, and then we can actually really get rocking and rolling on it. So we just want to take a moment to thank everybody out there that's listening to our stuff, that's buying our products, our shirts, our hats, because there's that aspect of it. And the aspect of all the support that we've been getting has made us realize that we actually can run with this. It was kind of like baby steps at the beginning where we didn't know where it was going to go, and if anybody would pay attention, if anyone would listen, if anyone would care.
Are we going to do this just for us?
Right.
Or are we going to do this for us
and our moms?
A ton of other people?
Right. Right. It could just be us and our moms.
That
and that's
one
fine.
guy we meet at the show that's like, oh, I love your stuff, man.
Right.
We do it for you, bud. Up until now, we were doing it for him.
But no, it's actually, we've gotten a really good set of feedback on it. So we're gonna push forward, and we got a business plan. We're gonna start bringing some different types of products out there, different colors of shirts, different hats. We're looking into possibly doing something different with the design. And yeah, I mean, I guess we can talk about that. It's not set in stone yet, but we're looking at where we have in your shirt, you can see it, it's the deer, the bear, and the trout.
With
the mountains. Keeping the mountains in the arrow and the writing, but taking out the animals and putting them changing them out for different things, doing one just for hunting, doing one just for fishing, doing one just for hiking, with different things inside it. Let us know what you think. If you like that idea, then maybe we'll start bringing that to you guys. If it's not going to be popular, then maybe we won't put our money into it, and we'll just put our money towards something else to keep bringing you guys some different types of content.
In addition to products, that leads us into the addition of another member.
Are we ready to say that, or are we going to wait until he's on the podcast?
It'll actually happen?
It has happened.
It has happened.
But he hasn't come in to actually introduce.
He's really, really busy, and we're actually really lucky to be able to break into his schedule.
Which is,
maybe we wait. We have that like big surprise entrance.
Yeah, I feel like just letting him introduce himself.
Yeah.
Like we should have, I mean, music.
Like Stone Cold coming in.
We can like dry ice. Yeah, like some strobe lights.
Some party poppers.
Definitely pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
Definitely pyrotechnics.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's going to be a big reveal. We're going to hold off on that reveal now.
That's exciting.
But he's going to be able to bring some awesome content, give a little bit of a different side of things than the three of us.
Yeah.
And he's also very good on the private business side of it, having his own private business. So we can pick his brain and he can help us out on that end of it too. And maybe even start merging our logo with what he does in his private business too in some aspects. So we're pumped about that. He's a really cool guy. And he's
hugely knowledgeable. Like every time I hear, like, just talking to him, I hear him talk, it's like no matter if he's doing something, you know that he has researched it to the fullest. Sorry. No, he's a smart guy.
Can't speak highly enough about him, so we're super pumped to have him on.
Super excited.
We're grateful that, like you said, that he's taken the time out of his busy time, his schedule, his life in general is just super busy. And he's actually giving us the time of day. So we're really grateful about that.
It's going to be great.
But yeah, let's hold off on the name until he can introduce himself.
Oh, God, I like that.
It'll be a straight up WWE entrance.
Yeah.
I forgot everything else. What were we even doing today? Because bringing that up just got me so excited.
Yeah, no, it's just been...
What else did we do? Oh, we hung a stand together.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
I'd never done that before. That was tedious and warm and exciting and tedious. No, it was good.
All right, kids, take 3 adjectives for your day today.
Okay. So, from a learning aspect, it was great. From unmedicated ADHD brain, it was, all right, it's up, let's go. No, we've got to level this. What do you mean level? It's up, it's attached.
It's up, it's fine.
As you shake it back and forth, you want to go up here? Fully attached, I was still up there. And it was, that was, what, 15 feet?
No, that's a 20-foot stand.
20 foot?
Yeah.
Come on. It was still...
I mean, which means your head was like 25 and a half feet.
Easily.
25 feet 3 inches.
We count those.
So, yeah, that was fun. It was a ladder stand for those of you that weren't there. So when you go up to strap it on, it can be a little bit precarious if you don't know what you're doing. And luckily, I do the whole ratchet straps as I go up thing, so it doesn't move too much. But and then I got you in a saddle.
Yeah, that was the first saddle.
Yeah. Tested that out.
Yeah.
You tested out my climbing sticks, and
yeah, I got to order those.
Yeah, that's fine. I actually found a really sweet pair of sticks that are a lot less money than the sweet pair of sticks I saw at Huntstock.
$400?
Dude, yeah, I went on their website. He lied to us. They're $450 on the
Must
website.
have been a Huntstock discount.
Must have been, because I'm like $450.
They were light.
Very light. Ultra light.
Ultra light. May have been a branding thing. I don't know.
It probably was, yeah. Yeah. We probably actually can't say that.
Scratch that.
Yeah.
They were very light.
They were very light. Very light. Super light.
We're just getting started. We don't need lawyers involved.
We don't need
no, that was actually really cool to be able to get up, not super high, but
high enough.
Man. To be able to see just the mobility you have with that was impressive, and the comfort level.
Yeah, there are some ladder stands that are not at that comfort level. But when I decide that I'm not going to be in a saddle and I'm going to be in a ladder stand, I want it because it's like a lazy boy, not because it's easier or something like that. Like, I want it for the comfort.
For this day, so you're going to go over there.
Yep. Yeah. All of my ladder stands have a cup holder. I'm not joking.
Noted. So I know which ones to go to.
For a water bottle.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, for a water bottle. It's actually for the pee bottle, so that you don't get scent all over because of scent control.
Scent control. Yep.
Scent control, yeah. So we did that. Stop rubbing your mustache on the microphone. It sounds literally so weird in my headphones. I need to get you a pair of headphones so you can understand what I deal with.
Sorry. I gotta keep it further away.
Anyway, what were we saying?
So we put the saddle up in that tree over there with some sticks. Now the stand was comfortable. The saddle, not so much, but it was wildly more comfortable than I was expecting.
Sure.
And I can see how the price on those things goes up for a reason.
Yeah, comfort.
I think mine was like a $70 saddle, and again, surprisingly,
it was on sale for $70. It normally retailed at like $180. You got like a really good deal on that thing.
Yeah, but
I don't want people thinking that you're like in a $70 saddle up there, because people will worry about your safety.
Well, it's got this zip tie over here, and it's supposed to cinch the two. Yeah, no, no carabiners, just zip ties. It was like I think it was 184 something. On Midway it was like 78. But yeah, no, that was exciting to be able to get up there and do that. Just to be able to get up there. Yeah.
So something Travis and I were talking about with our saddles, because there's that same little pinch point every once in a while down at the base of it, is trying to take some type of like memory foam or something like that and just super gluing like a little spot on it just to give a little noodle cushion. Like, just cut off a little bit of it, super glue a little bit right on there. Don't knock it till you try it. Custom add-ons. And you know what? You guys heard it from us first. So if that takes off, patent that.
It's ours. Trying to think of a name. My creative side is lost.
We'll come up with something. And it'll be wild.
It will be.
It'll be wild.
Especially in the whites.
Anyway, so we did that.
Yeah. That was last week. Jeez, summer's flying by.
It is. I can't believe that August is almost over. Which brings me to the next topic. September 1st. September 1st.
Tell me, what happened September 1st?
Less than a week away, Andrew. Less than a week away. Today is Monday.
The 26th.
The 26th. So less than a week on Sunday is September 1st. And the reason why I'm so excited about September 1st is that is the start of bear season.
Bear season. Big black bear.
So,
like a papa bear?
All of them.
Like a
open
male
season on bears. Whatever meat you want, it's ready for the taking.
You're a nice bear. Gotcha. So what are you doing with bears?
So
I've never hunted bear. I don't know. So what are the viewers going to see? What are we going to do with bears?
Back up.
Tell me more.
Personal bubble, Buckley. Personal bubble.
No such thing.
So, September 1st, I'm going to be baiting my bait site, because that's the first day, obviously, that you can throw bait up on it. And so, if you want to come along, And
are you really good at baiting? Anyway, I'd love to come along. Just want to know if I was going to learn from a master or not.
Well, you are uninvited.
Fine, whatever. I don't want to go anyway. I don't want to go to a stupid bait site.
No, I'm really not good at it at all. No,
it's too bad.
No.
Will there be somebody that's there that is at least decent at it? Because I feel like this is something important that we should show the viewers. But if we're not good at it, maybe we don't want to show them.
Right. No, typically if I.
There we go. This derailed quickly.
Thank God for editing.
Editing's good. All right.
No, so yeah, if you want to come along on God, no, don't go.
I'm not. I'm trying to.
If you would like to join the circle, no, I can't go circle.
The exclusive membership of waspy old white men going into the woods. We'll be right back. So what are we doing Sunday?
Sunday, I have a bear bait site that we are going to be placing scrumptious morsels of bait on the site in blue barrels for the bears to hopefully come and indulge themselves on.
Now, I have been privy to some of the photos you've been sharing. Do we have like any good, can't think of the word, but prospects?
No.
Noted. So the best way to get a bear in this area is to get in your car, do 70 to 80 miles an hour, and strike one on the highway. Got it.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, no, I actually, I'm assuming we do because we've had good bears on that site in the past. But in terms of this year, I'm going into it blind. Mm-hmm. I just put a camera up there a week ago. So when we go up there on to bait it, we can check that camera real quick and see if anything was coming in earlier. But I don't know what's up there at this point. You really don't know until you put the bait down as to how quick it's going to happen. Like last year, we put the bait down and we had like one young bear all season long because there was so much food elsewhere that we didn't have.
Last year was pretty rainy, so
yeah, we didn't have the bears on the bait site last year at all. The year before, we had a bunch of good bears that came in and just weren't able to get it done in the daylight. They came in always at night. So we're Travis and I are kind of new to the baiting world of it, and so we're trying to learn our way through it. We are by no means experts. We are absolutely trying to learn as much as we can on it. So we'll see where we go with it. We got some good ideas down at Huntstock. Travis was able to talk to some people about baiting techniques and what they do to increase their odds. So we're going to try to implement some of that on our site and see if that helps out or not. So
nice. I've got nothing to add because I have not the slightest clue about baiting. This is first season, first year.
Right.
I'm ready.
But you're more than welcome to come along and check it out. You can do some filming up there. You can do whatever. So
it'll be a good time.
Yep. It's a cool kind of party almost at the beginning because it's the first open season for the fall.
Gotcha.
So like once September 1st hits and bear season's open, it's like a celebration to go up there and get people together to just kind of go up there and throw bait on the site, and you just really throw a lot down so the scents start to go everywhere, and it's pretty cool. So, and then you wait. I think Travis and I have made the mistake of hunting it too early the past couple seasons, and not waiting like a week after baiting it to let it really heat up and not have any human scent around the bait site. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that we're going to hopefully hold off on this season and not get so excited that we just go running up there again, and go ahead and just let it sit for a week before we even hunt it.
So question, is baiting popular in this area?
Yeah, there's a lot of bait sites in this area. Yeah, bears can be a little tricky to get. Their sense of smell might possibly be the best in the animal kingdom around here, and their hearing's really good too. Their eyesight's not great, but their hearing's really good, and their sense of smell is really good. So they're hard sometimes to get any other ways. So bear baiting is popular for that reason, and it's also popular because our population is going up and up and up and up of bears, so much so that Fish and Game is really pushing to try to get more bears harvested to lower the population a little bit. So getting that little bit of extra element to make it more likely that you're successful is getting more and more popular too. Bear dogs are around, but they're certainly not as popular as baiting.
Gotcha.
Baiting is really a money thing. You just buy the bait, and there's a lot of techniques that go into baiting that I'm slowly learning about, but it's nowhere near the time and energy that you have to put in to train dogs and run dogs and do all that kind of stuff, and money for that too. There's a ton of money that goes into that too. So baiting's a little bit of an easier way to increase your odds for bear season. And then 15 days after bear season opens is deer archery. So September 15th is the start of deer season, and get in some trees and go after some venison.
So this is all coming in.
It's coming in quick. Less than a month till even deer season opens. So pretty stoked, man. Pretty stoked. I've been running around. I've been throwing some sticks in trees over the summer, climbing sticks, so that I have spots where I can just walk in with my saddle and clamber right up the tree, and I don't have to strap up my sticks, and I've been leaving them there. So see if that works. It's a new thing that I'm doing this year to see if that helps me at all, or maybe it'll hinder me. I don't know if it might create something that will push some, especially like older class bucks, out of an area. I don't know. So I'm kind of testing the waters on that one. See what happens. But then I certainly have some spots that I'll be just walking out to with my portable sticks and just climbing up trees that way too. So, and hopefully you'll be coming out with me and Paul. And Paul doesn't do a lot of archery hunting, but hopefully we can get him out a little bit and get some filming done of some hunts, and maybe get some cool footage of stuff. So
should be good.
So that's pretty much the update on everything, I think.
I know I've gotten a couple of requests of people that are excited for this, and they want to be a part of it even in small ways, that are like, hey, can we come out with you? Hey, can we go fishing with you? Hey, can we go hunting or whatever? And I was like, I won't talk about it, but I definitely think that might actually not be a bad idea to, going down the road, people reach out to us and want to learn.
We should, absolutely, we should.
I think that might be a benefit to especially people like me that are maybe have only been self-taught and want to just experience this with other people that know what they're doing in a safe environment. Might be beneficial. So,
absolutely.
I'll have to reach back out to them.
We should, absolutely. Anybody's more than welcome to. It's a lot of fun bringing people into it, and sometimes, a lot of the time, they'll see things in a different way, and you can learn from them too. Even though they're brand new, they see things in a different way, and might bring up a question that you've never thought of before, and make you think of something different too. So
awesome.
No, I had a request also recently. A friend of a friend bought a new property, and they want to hunt it, and they were asking me to help them kind of dissect their plot of land and see how they might strategize hunting that plot of land too. So I haven't gotten around to it yet, but hopefully I can get on that and help them out too, because those kinds of things are a lot of fun. I really do enjoy that stuff. So, but by all means, if anybody ever wants to come out with us, anybody's always welcome. I feel like the three of us all have a good head for who we can bring out and who we can't, and who's a good idea and who's not. So
cool. Yeah, no, I think this fall is going to be one for the books for at least me.
No, yeah, hopefully you learn a lot. Yeah. Hopefully we can get some meat in the freezer.
Love it.
But, okay. So now I think you want to continue on to the content of this episode. Let's talk some fishing. Let's get out of this hunting realm. Let's talk some fishing. So, fishing.
Fishing's nice. It's kind of that hunt fish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we do a lot of, like you were saying, you put the sticks up, you go out, put stands up. At the end of the day, sometimes it's just nice to grab a rod and reel and just put a boat in and go.
Right.
Catch something.
Or even not put a boat in.
Yeah, just shores.
Just stand on a shoreline. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I think we'll talk about today is kind of like how I choose where to fish. Mm-hmm. And man, I mean, we could go down some rabbit holes on it. Like I could do an episode just of how I bass fish and where I choose to do it and all that stuff. And then I could do one of just how I spin cast for trout in a stream versus fly fish for trout in a stream and all that. But there's some commonalities between everything. So I think what I'll do with this one is kind of keep it super basic. I'll get into a little bit of this topography stuff with deeper water stuff, or not deep water. We'll get into it. But let's start out with bass fishing.
Okay.
Because that's a fun, easier way of fishing.
Okay. Now, mind you, I like fishing. Mm-hmm. I don't catch anything. Okay. So my experience is next to nil.
Yep.
Tell me, what makes bass fishing fun?
They're stupid.
Love that.
Yeah, they're a fish that's not nearly as smart as like a salmon or a trout. Mm-hmm. So you can play off like their territorial tendencies a little bit more. Similar, not as severe, but similar to like pike and pickerel that are very territorial, and they'll just hit something because they're angry at it, or they just want to prove who's boss. Bass pretty much eat all day. They pretty much they got a little bit of that territorialness, especially if you hit them during a spawn and you can get right over their spawning areas and they're protecting nests. Man, you can hammer them all day long. But they're a little bit easier to just cast out. There's a higher likelihood that even if you make some mistakes on your retrieve or your lure placement or something, that they are not going to care as much as a trout. A trout is going to dissect how that thing moves, how it looks. Is it something that I really want to eat right now? Is it, is that really what's hatching right now? Or it doesn't really look like it. Or everything else is moving from the bottom of the water column up, and this is just floating on the surface. Like, it's really not, doesn't seem right. I'm not going to go after it. Trout can dissect all that stuff. Like they actually really plan out a lot of what they do. And I mean, especially when you're talking about more mature trout or native trout, that like all they've seen is the natural cycle of things. If you go out of that natural cycle at all, a native trout's going to go, that ain't right, and not go after it. A stock trout might just see something shiny and go after it because they're used to food just being given to them. So there's a little bit of a difference there too. But bass fishing. So there's two types of bass. Well, no, I take that back. There's really three main types of bass in New Hampshire that you fish for. I think of it kind of as two because I don't really count rock bass as being a bass because often they end up more in my mind as a panfish because of their size that they are and how they act as more similar to like a bluegill or a crappie or something like that. So I really just think about largemouth and smallmouth when I'm thinking about bass. Largemouth are probably the easier of the two, but the less fun of the two, because largemouth are often, well, I wouldn't even say that they're easier. It's just they are easier to kind of find because their homes are easily visible from topwater because they live primarily in weedy areas. So you can see the weeds from the top of the water a lot better than the rocky areas, which is where the smallmouth typically like. Gotcha. So if you're fishing for a largemouth, you're going to target the lily pads, right? And if you target the lily pads right against the shore, yeah, you could probably have some bigger ones that are going in there searching for smaller fish to eat or something like that. But if you target those lily pads that are 20 yards offshore and there's a patch of them, clump of them, that might be where your bigger largemouth are hanging out. So targeting around those and getting on the edge of that, and what I do is I work like a clock around me. Okay, so I start on one side, and then for every, like, you just envision a clock with all your numbers around you, and you just go, you cast out here, then go an hour forward, you cast out there, go an hour forward, right, and just keep going and casting around, and then move a little bit and do the same thing and try to figure out where they're at. Now, targeting is big too, because if you see those areas where you think they are, you may want to not be casting all over and throwing lures around and disrupting stuff, and you might want to target those areas first, and if you don't get anything, then start working your clock around and try to find where exactly they're at. And like I said, largemouth, they're going to be getting into those weedy areas, but they're a lot more of like just hungry logs. Like when you catch them, they don't give you like that fight like a smallmouth does. So smallmouth are probably my favorite bass to catch, and they're still pretty easy to catch. They're a little bit angrier than a largemouth. They're feisty. Even the smallest ones put up a good fight. I mean, I just was up in Pittsburgh a little last weekend, and I was catching some smallmouth. The largest one I caught was like 10 inches. He actually, like, yeah, I had my drag set a little bit light, but he actually pulled a little bit of a drag out of my line just because he was that feisty. And I had my drag set up for fishing trout, so it was set pretty loose. So just because they fight like a trout almost, like they have that same energy. But anyway, so smallmouth tend to go towards rocks. So if I'm going to target smallmouth, if you can't see rocks protruding from on top of the water and you don't want to get into them, like into an area and be like, oh, there's rocks underneath me, because then you just spooked all the fish out of there. Look at the shoreline, because often the shoreline continues underneath the water. So if you see...
Oftentimes, yeah.
What's on the shoreline continues exactly the same underneath the water, if you understand that. Yeah. I see what you say. Thank you for making me clarify that one.
I'm the dumb one here. I need the information.
So if you have a really, like, next time that you see like a group of weeds, look at the shoreline, and it's probably going to be a pretty thickly wooded shoreline with those weeds right there. It's just, everything is producing the same thing, except it's a different species because it's growing underwater.
Right.
If you all of a sudden you see like an area, peninsulas are probably my favorite thing for smallmouth. So that little point that comes out off an island or the edge of the land, whatever, and it just wraps out just a little bit and comes out to a point and then disappears below the water, and it was all rocky, dude, there's smallmouth around there. Like if there's smallmouth in that body of water, that's where they're going to be. And you just cast. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a lure and I will cast it onto that rock shore, because it won't get stuck on the rocks. And then I'll just take it and I'll flick it right off the rock, so then it looks like something just jumped in the water, and just start reeling it in. It's like it's something going like a bat out of hell, just trying to get away from it. Oh, that can strike them up like no one's business. So that, like, that's where I'll target those smallmouth, is those rock outcroppings. So if you are traveling around a lake on a boat or whatnot, and you see all of a sudden these underwater like mounds, sometimes there'll be like an underwater hill, that if it's a smallmouth lake, they could also culminate in those too. It's not just the shoreline. Sometimes they'll culminate in there too. And you can even get, I mean, the bigger ones, you could be in 25, 30, 40 feet of water, and there's a good boulder field under the water down there that you don't even know of, and all the smallmouth are hanging around those rocks. But I've noticed they really love rocks more than they love weeds. The largemouth tend to stay in the weeds more. And so if you're really trying to find one or the other, I would target rocks for smallmouth. I would target the weeds for the largemouth. And obviously, we're talking about summertime fishing.
Right.
I'm not even going to get into ice fishing.
Not yet.
Because once the thermocline flips, it's a totally different world. Because that's when the water on top becomes colder than the water down below. Whereas all summer long it's swapped, where the warm water's up top, the cold water's below. And those warm water species are going to leave the whole shoreline. They're going to go down deep. So that's that. Like getting into ice fishing, we'll do a whole other episode on how I do that.
Love it.
But that's pretty much, I mean, that's the basics of bass, and that's why they are so, I could get a little bit more in depth on it, but that's why they're so fun, because there's that much ease of getting to them, because they're pretty simple fish that want to eat, or they want to attack something that's flashy.
Yep.
And their homes are pretty easy to target as well.
Nice.
So, moving on to like trout. Well, actually, let's segue. Let's not do trout yet. Let's segue right into like pike and pickerel, because it's a perfect segue from bass, because they intermingle. So those pickerel are also they're actually more of a warm water species than like smallmouth bass, and they're, I would say, even more liking the warm water than even largemouth too. So you're gonna really find those guys in shoreline, in really shallow water sometimes, just hammering bait fish, because they really want to be where those small fish are. So they're the ones that are going to cruise right in the shoreline with those small fish and just eat them all up. Like, that's why pike are such a predatory, territorial fish, that that's why they can just decimate a population of fish in a pond if they're in there and it's a small enough pond. Like, there's a pond in New Hampton, Jackson Pond. I went fishing there 2 summers ago and didn't catch anything all day, and it looks like a gorgeous pond. There's supposed to be bass in there, there's pickerel in there, and I wasn't even seeing like panfish or anything like that. And on my way back, I ended up catching a 23-inch pickerel, and I'm like, this one fish alone could be the reason why I didn't catch a lot in there, because they eat so much and they just decimate. Like, they really do. So if you're going after pike, the biggest way to go after them is to target that territorial response. It doesn't matter if they're hungry or not, they are going to go after you. So something that makes a lot of noise, something that flashes a lot, something that shakes the water a lot, that's what they're going to go after. If it's shallow enough water, I love to work top water, because the top water baits are going to just create a disruption on top of the water, like a water plopper, a whopper plopper, or a like a jitterbug or something like that, that's going to just tear up the water as it goes through. So like what a whopper plopper is it's got a like spin on the back of it, so it looks like a fish, but it's got a little propeller on the back of it that as you're retrieving it, it just whips through the water and just creates bubbles basically behind it. It sounds almost like a tiny little boat motor going through the water as you retrieve it. A jitterbug has these big fins out on the side of it, and it shakes from side to side as you're going through the water, and it again creates that big disruption on the water and just makes them draw attention to it and will make them go after it. So they're more territorial, more aggressive than a smallmouth, but you go after them in a very similar way. And often when you're bass fishing, you're fighting through the pickerel at the same time, because they're right in the same areas doing the same thing. But like, I love northern pike fishing. Pickerel, I swear to God, can be the most annoying fish ever, but I love northern pike fishing. Like, you go out to Moore Dam and some massive pike are in the Connecticut River up there. And I haven't caught any of like the 40 plus inchers like some of our friends have.
We actually have a follower that's got some of the biggest northern pikes from that area I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Them out.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah, man. I've seen the pictures of those, and they're like Midwest northern pike.
Yeah.
Like you would think that they're like bordering on being a muskie, but they're actually a northern pike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my biggest one was 34 inches that I had up there, which it's a very nice pike, but it's not nearly the size of the ones he's pulling out. But they're so much fun, dude. Like the energy that they have, they're like trying to reel in a torpedo.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll get in and you'll like, oh dude, I got like 10 feet of line, and then all of a sudden your drag just screams and they're off to the races, and you're like, yeah, I just lost like 30 feet of line on this thing. Gained 10, lost 30,
mm-hmm.
you know. So they are a lot of fun. And they're actually pretty good eating.
Yeah.
Northern pike does not taste bad. Unlike pickerel, I don't really like the taste of pickerel, but northern pike's actually pretty good.
No kidding.
Season that up real good, nice and fried up.
I'm thinking by the time the season's over, we're gonna have a really good cooking show.
We should. Yeah, absolutely. We should turn this into like a man. If only
a hunt and cook.
If only like someone did that. Yeah. Where they go out and do episodes about hunting and then they cook what they hunted at the end of the episode. That would be a really good idea.
Like a catch and cook.
I feel like you know,
somebody.
What could we call that? Like I don't know, like meat cooker?
Meat cooker, I like
meat
that.
Cooker. Yeah. That's not bad. Like meat cooker or what do we do after we cook it? Like animal eater.
Yeah.
Animal eater. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm surprised no one's done that yet.
Look at us.
Jeez. Entrepreneurs right here.
Wow, we're getting this going. Before you know it.
Anyway. And second time we've gotten sued this episode. Anyway, so...
I didn't mean to go down that path. I was just thinking that...
No, that would be... Yeah. No, we could absolutely do that. I'm down with that. Yeah. I actually thought about that when I was coming up here, but then I realized I didn't have anything thought out. Because I was thinking... My ADHD thought pattern was like, oh, why don't I just bring something and we could like cook some burgers? Oh, I don't have anything thought out. Oh, that would make a really good episode. Why don't we actually start filming what we cook? That would be good. You know, that's how my brain went down that road. And then I bought us a pizza.
Yeah. The Italians would be proud. Well, probably not if they saw the pizza, but...
Right.
I mean, I've got some wild cow in my fridge.
Ooh, wild cow.
Well, I mean, it was outside. It was a free-range cow.
It was not a barn cow, we'll just put it that way. It fed on grass, not just grain.
Precisely.
Yeah, anyway, so perfect time because I had finished pike.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's move into trout.
Trout.
A really good eating fish as long as they're not stocked.
Native trout, you're saying?
Native trout
tastes
are the
better
best.
than stock.
Yeah, there's something about stock trout that's just like meh.
I've actually heard that stock trout tastes just fatty.
Yeah, fatty and fishy,
like oily,
and just
yeah.
Yeah. Catch and release on those suckers. Just let them go.
How do you tell?
You just know, man.
Yeah,
they just have a look in their eye. You know, like when you look at like, you know, one of these like Gen Zs and you're like, yeah, they're just soft. They didn't do anything to earn anything in their life, you know. It's looking at a stock trout versus a native trout.
Stock trout
you know,
is
like
the Gen Z of the fish world.
A native trout, you're like, ooh, that's a baby boomer right there. Like they've earned everything.
He's got a bit of a clouded over eye, but he's still fighting.
It's exactly
like a wounded wing.
Like that
couple medals.
Thing's seen it. You know, he's been through it, and he knows.
Y2K took its toll. You weren't there.
That's how you tell. Yeah,
gotcha.
It's not really like a thing you look for. It's a thing you feel.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. I wasn't sure if they were like tagged or something, but that would be like millions of tags.
Yeah, no, sometimes they'll clip fins, and you can see the clip on the fin.
Gotcha.
Depending on the species, usually you can tell, well, like rainbow trout are not native to New Hampshire, so any rainbow that you catch is stocked. Brookies are the only native trout to New Hampshire. So any brown you catch is stocked. But brookies, the natives, have a very different color pattern than the stocked ones do. The stocked ones tend to be a lot more vibrant, except for in very certain areas where those brookies were actually able to mature properly. Mm-hmm. And I've only seen those videos on YouTube of those ones. I've never seen one myself. Usually the ones that I see are like the 8-inch tiger striped ones that just look like a native brookie that has that very distinct color pattern.
Gotcha.
Versus the really vibrant spotted colors and blues and all that the stocked ones do. Trout are the best fish to catch because when you do it, you feel proud. And then you realize it's a stocked fish and you realize that you didn't achieve anything because they'll hit pretty much what a bass will hit. Especially if they're freshly in that pond and like they're like 3 days off the truck. They're just like, oh great, some more food. I've been pulled out of the water 15 times since I landed in here and then thrown back, but I'm still gonna eat this thing. They don't learn nearly as fast, but anyway, trout are great because of the way that, like I talked about earlier, how they dissect everything and you have to completely fool them. And so that's where like fly fishing comes into play a lot on matching what they're eating, because very often if you're fishing, especially like streams and rivers around here, there's not a lot of bait fish for them to be eating. So they often they're not used to looking at lures and thinking of that as being food, because it's usually either like their own fry that are the small things around them or not much at all that's flashy. Right. So typically fly fishing is going to match what they're eating way better than spin cast, because you don't put flies on spin cast.
Right.
So you match, you go to the river and you try to figure out what's hatching, what stage that it's hatching, and match your fly to whatever's happening right there. But we're not talking about that detail yet. We're just talking about where am I putting my line.
Yeah.
So we'll stick to rivers. Think of a current, okay? Think of you are walking through the station. You are walking through your house. You are walking through the woods, whatever. Do you go for the hardest path possible, or do you go for the one that's going to give you the path of least resistance?
Absolutely.
Okay. Fish are going to do the same thing. All animals do the same exact thing. So if there is a rock in the river that is breaking up that current and making the water behind it flow a lot smoother, and they have to utilize a lot less energy to remain there, they are going to sit there. However, that rock could be, if you have a 10-foot deep river, that rock could be on the bottom and it's only protecting that bottom 2 feet. So you've got to get through 8 feet of water to get to that pocket that they're sitting in. So don't just think of it as like when you see a shallow river and you can see all the rocks and the little breaks behind them to fish those. Absolutely do that when it's a shallow river, but if you have a deeper body of water, you may still be fishing structure that it's deep underwater. Right. Blowdowns, like you have the trees that are breaking it up. Anything that's going to break up that current is where the food that they're looking for is going to have an easier time maneuvering through. So they're going to have an easier time getting to that food. And all you're doing is trying to be the food that they want to eat. So you want to put your lure, your fly, whatever, into that path of least resistance so that they have the easiest time getting to your lure or fly.
Gotcha.
On lakes, it's a little trickier because they're a cold water fish. So when we're talking in summer, when the water's warmed up, they like to be in the colder water. But that doesn't mean, a lot of people may think that means that you go as deep as possible because that's the coldest water and they're going to be in there. Well, is the food there? And that's the thing you got to remember, is that, yeah, they like cold water, but they also like eating. So if there's no food in that super cold water, they're not going to be in that super cold water. So what I like to do is look for areas on a lake that have access to cold water, but also have things nearby where they can trap bait fish. Okay. So this is true for lake trout. This is true for your brookies, your rainbows, your browns. It's also true for your salmon. When you are looking at a body of water and wondering, say you want to jump in a boat and troll. Where am I going to troll over? Or where might I stop and start jigging to see if I can get something? Or where might I roll over so that my electronics can pick up if there's anything down there, if you're lucky enough to have those electronics? Start looking for where the deeper water is that also has nearby areas where those predatory fish can swim around, and what they'll do is very similar to, like, if you ever seen a National Geographic special on lions hunting impala, they will circle around them, or if it like wolves hunting elk, right, or deer, they'll circle around them and they'll ball them up, okay, and then they can start to figure out where the weaker ones are and target the weaker ones and swoop in and grab the weaker ones. Fish do the same thing underwater, but it's hard to do if you don't have a lot of fish to ball them up in the middle of nowhere. So they'll often find places where the land allows them to utilize that land as one of those barriers.
Right.
So things like those underwater hills, if this is a lake trout or a salmon lake and the smelt are flowing, what they may do is they may circle the bottom of it and get those bait fish moving up, and then as it funnels up into a smaller area, 2, 3, 4 fish can keep them all wrapped up into one ball. So that might be a good spot to check out. The other one is like little flats. Okay, so like you have a steep embankment, and then you have a little bit of a flat, and then another steep embankment, like a little bench area. But what I like to look for is areas where it's not like a bench that wraps around a huge area. It's just a smaller area with this little flat, and it just looks like a little tuck-in where they can just store their food and swim all around it and then swim through and get what they want to eat. Because often when you see those balls of bait, they are not going to be right on top. The predator fish are not going to be right in the bait on top of it. They're going to be a little bit away from it, and they're just waiting for the idiot to be not part of the giant school. They often don't. They're not like, if you're looking at like dolphins on those, National Geographic specials where you watch them just swoop right through, or the whales swoop right through a ball of krill. Like, they don't do that. They'll stick around the outsides mostly. So if you see that ball of bait fish, and you can drop your lure down and jig 10 feet away from that ball of bait fish, you have a high likelihood of getting there. That also of getting that fish. That also helps with the fact that if your lure doesn't look exactly like what the other fish do, it helps the predator fish not 100% put 2 and 2 together that it's not right. If you have them right next to each other, then they may go, that doesn't look right. But if you have them 10 feet away, well, then they may forget about it enough to go after it. Especially if you start retrieving and get them in that chase response. But if you see that ball of bait and you want to drag your lure through it, and because you're trolling, that's another great thing. It's probably not going to get picked up right in that bait, but it might get picked up somewhere on either side of that ball of bait. Another thing to look at is the opposite of those peninsulas that we were talking about for the smallmouth. Look for those inlets that have that tight little wraparound, where there's steep embankments on either side, and they can push something into like a little cove area too. Anywhere where you see those types of spots, excuse me, those are the areas that when they're hunting those bait fish, that's how they're going to do it. Now, if you go to one of those spots, they might be there or they might not. I mean, like, depending on how big the lake is, you could check 10 of those spots that look really great on a topographical map, and they're just not right there that day. They might have been the day before, they might have been 2 days ago, they might be in 2 days, but they're not there right now. And so you might have to continue to go around and check a bunch of these spots, but that's how you can limit, when you have a giant lake, you can limit down to a smaller area to check, if that makes sense. So, like, going back to our onyx discussion about hunting, right? Just because I said these are the places I'd look for sign or deer or whatever, doesn't mean that they're necessarily right there. You still need to go put the boots on the ground and find them.
Right.
It's the same thing with this. So
put your swimmies on and go find them.
Swimmies, yes. Okay. I highly recommend swimming across lakes looking for fish with just goggles. It's a good way to do it. And if it works out for you, please let me know, because I think we have another patent pending.
I like it.
Yeah. But so I'm going to transition onto my computer screen now and kind of just show you what I talked about a little bit with these areas, because those deeper water areas might be a little bit easier if I can just show you on a map what I'm talking about. So here's my clicker here, this little hand. I'm going to point out everything with that, hopefully. So obviously this is a cove. It's on Squam Lake. And what I have here is, let me undo that. That's going to keep popping up and it's really annoying. But, so this area here is at 70 feet. It's all flat area, right around 69 to 70 feet, okay? And so this is that bowl in the center of this cove on Squam Lake. You see, that's the deep water that I like. Right through here, you can see the topography and how it comes up, and how there's just these little tiny flats every so often. Those are those flats that I'm talking about, where there's the access to deep water, but there's flats right off of it, okay? And it's a steady incline. Now here is one of those underwater hills, okay? So we go from 70, and then all of a sudden we shoot right up to 40 feet with a flat on top of it. There could be a bait ball right on top of that flat right there, and that could be where it is too. So I would check that area. That's one of those underwater hills that I'm talking about. And then on the other side of it, coming up here, here's another one of those underwater hills. So you kind of have, it goes up, kind of flattens out a little bit, but not really. It's still kind of one of those ridge lines. Then you have a flat right here going into this nice other flat right here with a little pinch point in between them. This is another one of those underwater hills that you can go check out, and that one's even shallower. So if they're not down at 40 feet on the other one, maybe they're over on this one, which is getting up just a little bit higher, and you can work your way over here where it's 37, 34. It's working its way up. They might be on this area too. They could even push in as far as coming up into this. This is one of those coves that I'm talking about, where all of a sudden you see how steep those topography lines are right here? That's one of those steep embankments with a flat right underneath it, where they might push the bait right up into this little corner right there. So those are like the three areas that I talked about. Those flats with the access to cold water, the hills with the access to cold water, or those little coves. And especially when the water is still cold and they don't have a problem going up that shallow, those coves, you can get them up in 10 feet of water. It doesn't need to be down in 100 feet of water to to get the lake trout. They'll come up shallow if that's where the food is. So yeah, I'm just trying to think that those were the things that I covered. Do you have questions on that, or?
No, I mean, it's nice to hear, like, a lot of things that I've been thinking or doing are along the right tracks. Like, it's good to reaffirm.
Cool. Yeah. So, like, what things do you mean by what?
Well, knowing, like, all right, so I'm going out and I know Moore Dam pretty well. Mm-hmm. and usually in the late fall they drop that water down 50, 60 feet. So you can see the topography of Moore Dam firsthand, not just with a map. You know that, oh, this actually comes way out and then drops down. Moore Dam having been, all farmland prior to the dam being built, there are still rock walls that are still out throughout the entire lake area. So knowing that I've been fishing flats and benches where I know where they are, where I've actually seen them, is nice. It's nice to know that, okay, what I was doing was right. It's nice to have some better understanding of it. But it's wildly helpful.
Cool. Yeah, and then once you get into ice fishing, this is all gonna it doesn't completely turn on its head, but it changes a little bit.
I enjoy ice fishing, so I'm excited for that.
So we can talk about that during ice fishing season. Should do a podcast from inside the blow up, the pop up. That'd be a lot of fun. Do a podcast out there. Try not to get everything soaking wet though.
We'll work on that. We've got a few months.
Yeah, right. But that's it, man.
Awesome.
I mean, I could go way more into depth on some things, but I want to just keep it simple. So we'll dive into it a little bit more.
We'll touch back on this.
This is the basis of it, and yeah. Cool. Do you? Let's see. It's 4:15 now.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to touch on, or you think that's it?
I think we're good for at least for this. I mean, like you said, there's so many different rabbit holes that we can go down, but we can definitely save those for other episodes.
Okay, that's kind of why I wanted your opinion. If I need to go in more depth, or if we're good.
We're good.
Okay,
I think cool. This hits it right there.
Sweet. Well, that's this episode, and I guess we'll just catch you guys on the next one, whenever that may be. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
They fill majestic peaks under skies so wide.